So, truth is, I didn't realize I would become so many different versions of myself in 10 years.
Yeah, I think at 19, there was no way I thought I would have a wife or I would have met my wife. Not in a million years.
Well, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Okay, so let's rewind. 10 years ago, it was 2012. I had taken a semester off from school.
Okay.
And was working full time for the federal government and trying to make my way back at school. What was that like? That was your first year at Eastern?
Yeah, that was my first year at Eastern. I was in a different mindset though. Like I had a chip on my shoulder the second I walked on campus, I was angry. I don't even know why. But
that's that Baltimore stuff.
That's real though. I came straight from Baltimore. With a certain mentality, and I was looking to play ball at the collegiate level,
right?
And I was doing that, but I wasn't even recruited to go to the school that we went to.
Facts.
So from the very time that I walked in on campus, I knew I had to prove myself. So I definitely had a chip on my shoulder from the very jump, but he wasn't even there.
Exactly. So we were in two totally different places at that specific moment 10 years ago this time, but we were both in preparation of meeting each other unbeknownst to us. But right. So let's, I think there's a lot of people that are also going to be introduced to us in this moment. So our story about how we actually met was when I came back to school, spring semester. You had already been there. I had gone there for 2 years prior, but I took a semester off. So I get back, I'm moving in on moving day, and I see you.
Why'd you take a semester off?
I took a semester off because my grades were trash.
Let's be frank.
What does that have to do? Anyway, that has nothing to do with anything at all. I took a semester off because my grades were trash. My parents were paying for school, right? And they were like, your grades are trash. So either you pay for it or you don't go back. Right. So my whole motive for working that semester was to make sure that I can get back to school. So show up on a Sunday afternoon, back on campus, ready to move in. I had this knockoff.
Listen, okay, that bag that you're about to refer to?
Don't play like the bag didn't cut your eye, first of all.
So I see you walking. So I'm sitting in the, what is it called? The Spirit Lounge. I was in the lounge. And you come up the steps and come through the door, and all I see is this very tall brown skinned girl and a Gucci bag, and my immediate thought was, she doesn't go here. She's probably visiting.
She doesn't even go here.
Like she, legit. I thought you had graduated. I thought you were like a graduate, and you were probably coming to see somebody or something like that. But I did not think you went there. You look way more mature than what I had seen.
Right. That semester threw you off. But anyway, baby, I was on my way. Anyway, so I move in. My roommate, and I had lived in this dorm before. That was my freshman dorm. But this was my junior year. My roommate was one of your friends. And this dude was so trash to me, y'all. He got an attitude because I didn't move something out of his way. So he was moving my roommate in, and she was his friend or whatever. But anyway, long story short, we end up having this conversation. I asked one of my friends who was actually your roommate, what's up with your mans? You know what I mean? I need to know what the tea was on Mr. Garrison because bro was fine. And so he was like, nah, sis, don't mess with him. He was one of them ones.
Wait a minute, ain't that crazy though?
What?
My roommate that, first of all, I let stay.
Oh my gosh. Let's not even please don't let Malcolm go down this rabbit hole.
Listen, because I let him stay there.
Got it.
And he goes back and tells you, nah, he ain't it.
Well, the truth of the matter is, it don't matter that he was your roommate. The loyalty was still to me. That was my friend for 2 years before he even knew you. Yeah,
but somebody would have been homeless had I not let him in.
Nonetheless.
Okay.
Nonetheless. he was also inquiring about me at the same time that I was inquiring about him to my roommate. So long story short, you know what I mean? This was back when Twitter was popping. So my roommate said his name one night and I was like, yo, tweet him and tell him to pull up. You know what I'm saying? Tell your friends to pull up. You know what I mean? And
you was fast.
Long story short, he left me on red low key. He said he was coming through and it took him like 4 hours or whatever. He was sitting in my lounge watching the game, and then at like 2 a.m, he kicks the door open and stands in the doorway like an angel.
I was real player like.
That
was real player like.
That was real trash. Anyway, nonetheless, let's talk about it. So that's how we met, and of course we had what we call a no-lationship, and I'm sure we'll get into that later on in the season. But
Facts.
We were in a no-lationship for like 10 months. A no-lationship is where everybody knows that y'all talk, but you know what I'm saying? Ain't no titles on that thing,
right?
Because Malk tried to play me.
I didn't try to play you. First of all, my mind was in so many different places.
That is true.
One, straight from Baltimore. I'm looking to rip dudes' heads off on the court when it came to basketball. And then, mind you, I had already took a year to go to school.
Right.
And I went to school. I went to school back at home. Mm-hmm. So I hadn't left home yet. Mm-hmm. And this was my time that I finally had freedom, and I was out of the nest.
AKA, he was trying to bust down anything that he could.
I was happy to be out of the house.
Valentine's Day rolls around, and we're sitting in the lounge, and I'm like, "You got a Valentine?" And he was like, "Nah." And I was like, "Bet, you mine." And he thought that meant I just thought he was cute or something like that. Like I was shooting my shot. Like that was a shot. You know what I'm saying? But it was after that, I think, that we really, really started like talking.
Yeah, I didn't want to read too far into what you had said though, because that could be anything. You could have been hyping me up, whoever. I don't know. So, 19 years old, a girl tells you that. Okay, cool. I understand.
Okay, and then March 17th was like our official together no relationship situation. But we do count that as one of our anniversaries. But
No. Well, you can't talk about that. Let's backtrack to when I asked you the first time.
But that was way after March 17th.
To be my girlfriend?
Yes, because that was the next semester. Because remember, because he done lost a little bit of the story. So since you want to go into the full detail is that before we went home for break, for summer break, I asked you, what are we? Like, what is this? What the hell are we doing?
With the what are we?
Correct. So what are we? And he played me like, oh, baby, nah. Let's not put no titles on this. Let's just, see where things go. Let's not make it, And I'm like, bruh, if I go home and cut all my hoes off, you owe me a bunch of hoes.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is why you got to keep your play, because you don't know who she talking to or whatever. So I had to,
But I was willing to. I was also obviously telling you that I was willing to throw in my player card, but you wasn't.
I wasn't trying to rush anything. See, this is the thing. I didn't care to rush into anything, and I wasn't trying to be anything for a minute. And I knew once we put something on this, a title on this, things tend to get complicated. And I wasn't looking to do that just yet.
But one thing I will say, though, and I think this is why I was willing to throw in the card, was because you were very intentional with even a no relationship. You know what I mean? We didn't have each other's numbers for pretty much that whole time, that last semester. I mean, that semester, so March, April. But you would come see me every day. You know what I mean? Yeah. We would sit down. We would have conversations. We would go to lunch. We would go to dinner. We would sit in the lounge. We would have conversations and talk. So it was kind of like we were building this relationship and friendship, just getting to know each other freely without having that title attachment to it, which made me like, I really think I like this gentleman because he's so different from anybody I've ever been with. He's so different from anybody I've ever dated or even conversed with, because he was being so intentional about it without being pushy about it at the same time.
You know what intrigued me about you is that we sat, I think it was like the second time we met or something like that. First couple of weeks, we sat and we talked for like, it seemed like 2 hours straight about literally everything. And you was like giving me your whole backstory and things I wasn't even asking for. You were telling me, you were open about. And it was the first time I kind of had like a free flowing conversation that, you know, I wasn't looking at my phone, nothing like that insinuated I wanted to leave. And it intrigued me. I was like, man, we had a dope conversation and I wasn't trying to do anything with them. Like that was like, I'm like, okay, she's definitely different and easy to talk to. And that kind of intrigued me. But you're right. We didn't put any titles on it for a very long time. And I think you did really, really good in not trying to rush me into anything. You did hit me with that question when we had that summer break. But you remember when I had that phone that I had to take the battery out.
This boy had the ghettoest poverty phone I've ever seen. He had a external battery that he would, y'all know how you charge like a camera battery? That was like his phone battery. So he was taking it out and putting his battery in the wall. He carried 2 batteries with him. Yes,
I carried 2 batteries with me.
So ghetto. So, I mean, fast forward, you know what I mean? We went through our collegiate years together. I graduated in 2014. You graduated the year after me in 2015. So, you know, our story has so many layers to it, I feel like, because we started off in college, you're talking about at 20 years old, right? And we're 29 now. We're approaching 30. We'll be 30 this year. Shout out to the 92 babies.
Yeah, shout out.
And I feel like there's so many layers to it because it starts as a college situation. In college, you know, the main reason why we really wanted to really have this conversation and start the podcast was to talk about how different you become over time and the different life transitions that happen that start to shape you or make you awaken you, right? Yeah. So they either reshape you or they awaken you. And I think starting in college really was that pivotal point where you just live so carefree and you feel like you're an adult because you're not at home and you don't have to answer to nobody, but you don't have no bills, baby. And when them bills get to getting, life gets to life. And you know, so we go from college to you're in college and I'm working. You know, what was that transition kind of like?
It was definitely rocking the cradle, obviously with me. But
for the record, Malcolm is what, 3-4 months, 3 months younger than me.
You a cougar?
I'm a cougar. Got it.
Look, so all right, so it was a different time for me, for sure, because we came from, okay, I see you every day. From the time we met, we had talked pretty much every day.
Definitely every day.
And we seen each other pretty much every day. But when it came to you going and you graduating, you're you know, in a whole different state.
Facts.
Long distance is hard, but it does test your relationship, I think. And for me, I was going through so many different things. I think at one point I was missing you so much. I was like, man, like, where's my support system at? Weird fact for my journey. So when she left, I had 1 year left in eligibility. So I was graduating that December coming, but I still had another semester where I had to be able to play ball. And after I graduated, I had nowhere to stay. I had nowhere to stay on campus. So I was pretty much a nomad. And thanks to my friend, my homeboy, Aaron, he hooked me up. He had me, you know, sleeping on his futon. And I was just going to practice and eating Wendy's pretty much every day. Disgusting, right? Yeah. I was eating that pretty much every day, and I didn't have a car at the time.
But that was your hustle. The whole hustle was, I'm going to forego housing so that I can get this refund check and buy a car.
Correct. That was the play. But I was missing you at the same time. I'm like, man, she's not here, and what do I do? You know, like, what, you know, with the person I see every day, or if I have a bad game, or something pisses me off in practice, or whatever it is, I didn't have that person to come to at the end of the day. and that kind of changed some things for me. But what I will say is, I think we kind of grew our communication better.
I think we grew our communication really that first summer, even before college was over, because at the same time we found out as we started dating that we were, well, no relationshipping, that we lived in the same state. So he lived in Maryland and Baltimore, and I stayed in DC, in PG County. And so that meant that we were technically only 45 minutes to an hour away from each other. And I expected to be able to still see you over the summer, but literally as soon as we got home, my car broke down. My mama van, not my car.
Oh, the van.
Yes, the van.
Bertha.
The Kendrick, it was burgundy. The Kendrick Lamar van is what I was driving, pushing. You laughing, but you was walking. But nonetheless.
I was.
But, you know, so I think that's where our communication really started to develop, because all we could do was talk. But we couldn't see each other. We couldn't be in the same place that we were. So I think we already had a pretty, a good handle on our communication by then, because we had been dating at that point for well over like almost 2 years. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was different because you were still in college. So you were doing the collegiate things. I'm waiting up at, 12, 1 o'clock for you to go to your dorm. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But I got to be at work at 6 o'clock. I got to be at 5 o'clock. So now we're literally talking for 7 seconds so that I could tell you good night, because I got to get up for work in the morning. And so I think that was really different for me, because I was missing you, because it was the same thing. But now I'm like, are we too different? Are we growing into two different places? Because I'm technically like a real blown adult, even though I was living in my mama's house, but you're still in college. And so do I want to be, the girl dating a college guy? Now that
You felt insecure about that?
I didn't feel insecure about it. It just, I didn't want it to be a reason why we started to grow apart, because we were in two different places in life.
Let me ask you this. Did you at any point in time feel like he may cheat on me on campus? Or somebody may try him?
Now, try you, yes, but you cheat, no. Because one thing that you've always done is made me feel secure to where I never had to question anything, which I can appreciate, because I never had that prior to our relationship. And I think this is why it is my longest and will be my only, my longest relationship, is because I never had to question it. I never had to be like, oh, I wonder what he's doing or who he's with, or, what he's doing with his guys when he's out. Like, I've never had to question that, because you've never given me a reason to. You've always been honest. You've always been, just real 100 about everything. We both have been. What did you think? I was at home, from whence I came.
Yeah, I didn't think you would cheat or anything like that. I just thought, would your heart grow fonder or something?
I will 100% say that my heart grew fonder, especially with stuff like my grandma died. Like, remember, we were supposed to celebrate our anniversary. I think it was like our 2nd year or 3rd year anniversary. My grandmother died literally that weekend, but I was heading to you. We were spending a weekend together. I was coming to visit you. Mm-hmm. But I ended up having to take a megabus to Nashville, because my grandma they were like, she wasn't going to make it through the weekend. And, I ended up down there for almost 2 weeks, and we never got our anniversary that year. And it was kind of like, I'd rather be with you. I don't want to necessarily, like, of course I wanted to be there for my family, but I don't want to watch my grandmother die. And then if I gotta watch her die, I don't want to watch her die by myself. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so, I think that's what we're talking about with major life transitions, and where you start to realize like partnership and the people that are around you mean so much more because of where you want them in your life, or the reason why, or major moments in life where you don't even want to deal with them by themselves. Like you said, coming home every night was like weird, because I'm used to coming home and you being there. I'm used to coming to my dorm room and you being there, or me meeting you for dinner and all that stuff like that, or meeting you for breakfast, and now I can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
But I think that's where, even when we first started talking about relocating in college before I graduated, and you were 100% not with it.
My first
this boy
response.
And it's like, he not even a mama's boy, but his response was like, I could never raise a family away from my mom.
That's crazy. I'm nowhere near a mama's boy
at all.
And that was my first response. And I when I think about it, I'm like, why the heck did I say that? I had to have been scared.
Nah, you knew
what?
That you wanted to be with me forever.
See, all right. First of all, we're going to have to backtrack, because you remember the first time I kissed you?
Mike wants to tell y'all about how he asked me out 3 times and I told him no.
Not that, because that happened too. But so the first time I kissed you, it was like a goodbye kiss.
The Corey kiss.
Yeah, and niggas try to say that I loved you as soon as that happened.
I said that's what his best friend Corey. That's what he said at our wedding.
He was tripping. First of all, I'm 19, 20 years old.
He loved me.
I don't love many people.
But me.
And I did not love you then.
So when did you know that you loved me?
It was too soon. Way too soon.
When did you know?
When did I know I loved you? Honestly, you remember that first day I said I love you? I actually don't even want to tell that story.
By the trash can?
It was real simple like. And I hate it. It was horrible.
Oh my gosh, y'all.
What were we even talking about?
We were arguing because you wanted me to come watch you hoop. It was an open gym.
It was an open gym and I was killing niggas. Okay. Let's be honest.
And I'm sitting on the sideline eating Chipotle. And there's this guy that, you know what I'm saying? This guy that I messed with one time in life.
First, before you start that, before you get into that, this is what used to piss me off. Being with you.
What?
Is that it's not that, like, first of all, you didn't talk to a lot of people.
Correct.
But somehow people that you talk to would pop up out of nowhere. Like, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Why do niggas that you used to talk to keep popping up?
Now that I couldn't control. Now the one we about to talk about, the one we're actually talking about though, I know what you're talking about. We'll get into that, y'all. There's so much that we're going to unpack in this season. It's going to be ridiculous. But the one moment that you're talking about in particular, this is somebody that I had known my freshman year. Like we came in together. Now why he came to open gym that night, I have no idea. You know what I'm saying? Like I have no clue why he was there. But the truth of the matter is, long story short, you know what I'm saying? He says to me, all right, Britt, Malcolm loses.
I lose my ever loving mind. Because, hold on, this is the thing.
All he said was all right.
Look, I was dapping dude up. We was hooping.
But you can't act like
cool.
You didn't.
We was cool.
No, but Malcolm.
And then I hear that. You used to talk to him. Now I want to throw hands. I'm from Baltimore.
He's lying.
And I have a whole different mentality. I'm a different person around this time.
Nah, Malcolm. First of all.
I wanted to throw hands with anybody that came around me.
Chill, bro. What you have to understand is that you're saying it as if you didn't know prior to that. You knew.
I did not.
Yes, you did. You knew exactly who he was.
There's no
way that you would have got that upset for him just saying, all right, Britt, if you didn't know who he was.
There's no way I would have known who that was and we would have hooped and dude wouldn't have left limping. There's no way. Around that time?
Bro. Yeah, I'm going to let him lie.
I was so mad. I was so pissed that I don't even know if we talked.
No, we yelled the whole way to your dorm room.
I cursed out.
He made me sit in his lounge while he went and took a shower. Where he comes out. That wasn't actually the first time.
That wasn't. No, yikes. That's the problem. That wasn't the first time. That's the problem.
No, the other time was on that bus. Anyway, y'all, we get into too many sides. Yeah, we did. But he was opening my doors and all that while he was yelling at me. It's crazy.
Yeah, because chivalry never dies, but it's like one of them doors, you open the door like real mad.
And another thing.
Yeah, it's like, and you slam the door hard as jacks too.
But you was, I do appreciate you for still being who you were. But anyway, nonetheless, we go to your dorm room. It's cold as jacks. And you make me sit in your lounge while you take a shower after you hooped and come out this shower. And he's just regular now. Now he's like, all right, cool. You ready? And I'm like... I'm confused. Like, what do you mean? Am I ready? Like, I'm trying to figure out who the hell this guy is now and what he done washed away his sorrows in the shower. I don't know how guys do that where you just like, you go away for 5 minutes and you come back and now you're some other dude. And
this is the thing.
We walk back and then he's like, I'm pissed. I'm extra pissed because you're happy.
You were mad.
I'm even more pissed because you're happy. And so now we're having this conversation and then we get by these dumpsters and your boy broke down and he cried. He broke down and he cried. And
Oh my God. I don't believe I cried. I really don't believe I cried.
You cried because you said you don't like that moment. You don't like even bringing up that
story. It was
story.
very simple. Like, but I don't even know why. I was so mad. Anybody ever cried when they so mad?
But
pissed?
You said you wasn't mad no more.
I had to rethought that. Because this is the thing. Guys don't hold on to things very long, especially Sagittarius. We don't hold on to things very long. We assess the situation. Mm-hmm. First of all, you got my mouth before. Like, I cursed you out prior to.
Oh my God.
So I released a lot of things then. And then when I took my shower, decompressed, thought about some things, I'm like, you know what? I really don't care, because we really don't. And I come back out and I'm over it. Most of the time, that's most of the time how we operate.
Okay, but get back to the dumpster and how you loved me.
All right, I said I love you, and that was the first time. That's when I knew. Because I was that mad, that's how I knew I loved you. Could not believe it. The biggest simp I had ever been in my entire life was that moment.
You weren't a simp, babe.
It pissed me off.
You were just in love, and it's okay. But, nonetheless. So fast forward, I graduate. You graduate. Now we're figuring out life post-grad. You were still hooping, but once you were done, it's pretty much a move. I was working my last job with the mindset that I'm getting up out of this, Joe. And I'm moving to Atlanta. You can come or you don't have to, but we'll figure something out. But I'm out of here. And you decided to join me, and I think that was one of the best moves that we ever made in our lives. Like, I think really I think that's version 3 of us. Like, version 3 is the relocation. Mm-hmm. You started working, and I was pursuing entrepreneurship. I was working in the music field. You were working at Enterprise. And I think one of my favorite moments about that is really learning ourselves, learning the level of sacrifices that we were willing to take. One, with relocation, but 2, you were willing to work to make sure that we were set. We were good while I figured me out. Because I tell people all the time, I was what you call a entrepreneur. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be in business. I knew I wanted to do stuff with music because that's what I always had done. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really know what I was going to do because I didn't have a network here. I had a couple friends, but I didn't know what was my career field going to be. And I was in grad school at the time and everything like that too. And so, when you kind of took that on, I think those were one of the moments. Like, I already loved you. Of course, this was long gone and in college and all that. But I think when I really started to understand that I wanted a future long term with you was when you were making those kind of decisions, saying, you know what, babe, I got you. I got us. You go figure it out. And that's where, I found our business and started to do network marketing. And, I think my real reason for wanting to win with it was because I felt like I had to honor the sacrifice that you were making doing something that you didn't choose to do or that you didn't want to do, just so that I can kind of figure me out. So,
I mean, well, if you don't work, you don't eat.
Also true.
That's how. So when I went out to Atlanta, I had finally got a car, because we did the play. I did the play in college.
Ooh, y'all, he was so proud when he pulled up on me. We went to Fogo de Chao that night.
In that Maxima.
He pulled up on me in his new car. He took me to Fogo de Chao.
Took you out.
Oh, he did. He was rich.
I said, come on in, But that journey getting to Atlanta, that was, it was a journey. The reason why I wanted to get a job, one, to get experience, mm-hmm. But also I knew one of us had to take some time to figure life out.
Right.
Like, you had been working for some time at that point in time anyway.
5 years.
5 years. So you had some work experience. I didn't really have any work experience. And I was, we'll share why and stuff like that, later. But I didn't have any work experience, so I needed to get out there and get my feet wet in the workforce. But I also knew that money was running out quickly.
Time is drawing nigh.
Listen,
so when you say money was running out, just to add some context to it, like he said, I was working the whole time, right? So I had been working for the government for 5 years. I started when I was 18 and I stopped at 23. But my whole goal for moving to Atlanta was to save $20,000 to move before I moved. So, we were pretty much living off of my savings. And of course, y'all know, like, that it was dope. It was a great thing to have done. I was very proud of it. But you all know if you out here living on your savings with no income coming in, because I was 100% working at a free internship. You know what I'm saying? But when you're doing that, it gets out of there
I
quick.
had my thoughts about that free internship too, but
oh my gosh, here we go.
money was running out. My money was running out, and I didn't have much when I got there. I really went there with half a car because
It was a whole car till you got here.
it was summertime in Atlanta.
Hashtag a lemon.
A lemon for sure. It was summertime in Atlanta, and the AC goes out. The second I get to Atlanta,
Super summertime, like May.
the AC blows out. So I'm like, oh my God, with black leather seats. So I mean, at that point in time, I'm like, man, I gotta find some money. We gotta get some money quickly. And thank God we only been there
You had a job within a month. Yeah, you were working in June.
Yeah, so it was my last resort. It was my last resort.
Yeah.
But it was really hard to get a job at that point. So I took the first thing, and it kind of sustained us for quite a while.
Very long time.
For a very long time, it sustained us. Thankfully,
No, for sure. And I think, like I said, one of my biggest reasons to want to make what I was testing out, trying out, and just entrepreneurship in general really work was because you were making a very serious sacrifice for me to try things. And I don't know if everybody always has those luxuries, you know what I mean? Like, to be able to really figure out what it is that you want to do, how you want to do it, who you want to become. And so, I was like, okay, I'm going to start this business. I've never done stuff like this before, or I've never seen anybody that's made money doing this, but I'm going to, because I want to get him off this job. And I think in that time, but you know what I'm saying? You was out there hustling. That's how you bought this ring.
Yeah, I bought it cash because I was definitely hustling. I was doing legal stuff.
You were.
But I was out here. Definitely.
Here.
I was not trying to... See, my whole goal was not to have to make payments. No. I was not getting in debt for no ring. That was kind of my whole goal, was don't get in debt for this ring. Find a way to pay for it cash. So I did that. But, yeah, I mean, let me ask you this. When you saw me, take that sacrifice, whatever you want to call it, for me, it was a sacrifice, but not really, because I knew I wanted to make, keep us afloat,
right,
and keep us stable.
Mm-hmm.
But did you then know that, okay, he's serious about me, wants to marry me and stuff like that?
So here's the thing. I told Malcolm that day when he said we had that first long talk, he had 5 years.
I have issues about that.
I understand that, and it's okay to have issues about it, but I'm not going to act like I didn't say it. So I knew you knew that you were also on a clock. But
a clock for what? See, this
a clock for what? I don't know. I can't. We can put this on the list as something we can break down and discuss. You know what I'm saying? What? But I don't want us to get off track. But the thing was, I knew at that moment that you were willing to do whatever it took to make sure that we were good. And, I read something, I think growing up, or I heard a saying where they say, like, you marry people that are like your parents. And I grew up in a household where my father took care of our family. Both my parents worked, but I literally watched my father make sure we were good. You know what I mean? I watched him, work 2 jobs when my sister was born and they needed some more money, or when my mom couldn't work, or my mom had lost her job. My mom was pregnant with me. You know what I mean? She had to quit her job because she was so sick during her pregnancy with me. And so I've watched my dad like having to do what he had to do to make sure we were good, over the years. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And he had a wonderful job for the majority of my life. So, I saw that. And when I saw that in you, it was moments like that where I was like, okay, he's willing to do what he has to do to make sure that we're good, whether it's something that he wants to do or not. And so again, I don't think that, let me not say I don't think that. I don't hear a lot of women that have that other side of the conversation, though, where it's like, sometimes people will say, if he's willing to do that, then I'm good. I'm going to just wing it, or I'm going to just live off that, or we'll be fine as long as he does this. But I don't really often hear the conversation where women are saying, oh, because he's doing this, this is how I'm going to honor his sacrifice. I'm going to honor his commitment and run it back and give it back to you to say, okay, cool. Give me this amount of time, or this is what I'm looking to do because I want to help you get here. When we do this, we'll get here and we'll do this. And so that was, I took a lot of pride in being able to figure myself out to the point where we could get you off of that job, or you didn't have to be there if you didn't want to.
Yeah, I think that transition in my life is kind of where I have finally grew up in a sense. Like this was the real world.
Facts.
And
them
for
bills
so
was not
long,
playing.
you are sheltered from the real world.
Oh
like, let's be honest. Like, you going from being in college, 20 years old, 22 years old. I think when we graduated, or at least when I graduated,
we both graduated at 22.
Having no bills, everything's paid for. Especially if you're an athlete, most things are paid for. To going out here to the lion's den, which is the real world,
right?
And that was kind of a growing up moment for me. Like, let me step up to the plate and show her, one, that I can take care of her, and I can take care of our needs and stuff like that, and not have to want for anything. And I think we were living pretty comfortably too.
No, and then I think my dad ended up having cancer around that time as well.
Yeah, that was a difficult time.
And I just think, like I said, there's so many life things that really make you mindful of who's around you. And you cherish those who are around you too. And I think going through that with you and your level of sensitivity to me, as well as, and I knew when my dad didn't want to tell me until you were around that, okay, this person has a lot of impact and influence over my life, and even my family knows.
Yeah, I can see that.
So
I never knew that though.
Huh?
I never knew that.
What?
That your dad wouldn't tell you.
He would not tell me until you got off work, until you got home.
That's crazy.
So
he knew we was living together. Right.
That's a conversation for another day too. So that was version 3, was the relocation, the business phase. But version 4 was us getting married. We got married in 2018. You proposed on my birthday, my 25th birthday.
Yeah, I didn't know what else to do.
That's a fact. What like, could you give me? This is the 5th birthday we've been together. What?
Yeah, I'm like literally racing through my head. Like, okay, I did this. Like, what was the first thing I got you on your birthday? Because I feel like for my men out there, you can't go too hard too early.
I don't even remember.
Because you'll crash and burn. You can't go to Roof Chris the first time and then
we went bowling.
Red Rooster the next, huh?
Red Rooster, Red Robin.
What, that too? That's fine. We went bowling the first time?
Yes, that was my 21st birthday.
We started low.
We went bowling.
Worked our way up.
I don't even remember if you got me a gift.
Probably didn't. I mean, in college, I was making $50 a week.
Correct. I really obviously liked him a lot.
Clearly. Because it's very broke. Very broke.
Because I was coming back to school after summer with 10 grand.
Crazy. Government workers, bro.
The next year, I don't know again. 22. Oh, remember we had that dinner, we went to hibachi.
Was that your first time having hibachi?
No, I've been going to hibachi my whole life. But
it was like my first time though.
Oh, I've exposed you to a lot of things in life. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the finer things in life, sweetheart.
Yeah, because you was bougie.
Listen, not.
I was
Baltimore. Very whatever. Baltimore he was. Shout out to all the Baltimore people that are listening. We love y'all. Family.
Yeah, that's family.
But
I mean, 25, like I said, I mean, I just didn't know what else to do. And I was like, I mean, at this point we had been together
5 years.
5 years. Mm-hmm. We had been together 5 years.
Told y'all you had 5 years.
I hadn't even thought about that. That was crazy. Now I think about it, yeah.
They say speak things that be not as though they were, and then if you speak your goals, you know what I mean. Yeah. You start to, go ahead and speak the things that you want.
Yeah, you spoke that into existence for sure, because I wasn't even thinking about that. Now, yeah, but I just felt like I'm like, okay, we're already pretty much there. It might as well do it, and that's when I went into full planning mode.
And you did a great job. Shout out to my bestie. Gigi, I think that was one of those moments where we really became like best friends through that process.
Who?
Me and Gigi.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure.
For sure. Through that, like, we was cool, but like that was a very solidified moment of our relationship. But I think getting married, that changes everything too, because you're really transitioning into what I consider full-blown adulthood, right?
Was you scared?
Was I scared of getting married?
Yeah, like did you have cold feet?
I didn't have cold feet. I think I was ready for that moment. I wasn't ready. I wasn't like pressed because even at that party, like people were like, "Oh my God, do you think he's going to propose?" And I was like, "No, you do." You know what I'm saying? Even that night, my birthday party, you proposed on my 25th birthday. I had a party. And I remember people were asking me literally, and I was like, nah, like 100%. If he did, like, that'd be dope. But I was surprised. 100%.
I tried to be as cheap as possible so it would throw you off. Like, no, he would never. And that's exactly how I wanted you to think. But
even so, like, you surprised me with my friends, like, but it was my birthday, so I didn't think anything of it. But cold feet, no. I was ready for that moment. I was ready to be committed to you for the rest of my life. Like, I wasn't, what the hell else was we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been together for 5 years. It's obvious that we are fond of each other, and I was ready to be committed and say that this is my partner for life and that there's nothing else, no one else, never will be, because I was good. And I had been for a long time.
I was ready, but I was scared.
What were you scared of?
I was literally, it's over.
Oh man, he was ready. He wasn't ready to throw in the full blown player card.
Look, I mean, guys think like this is it. This is it.
But it had already,
it was already like that. Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying. Like, so how can it be? Like, how could you feel any way different? Like, it's just of course, there is a different level of commitment to marriage. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm thinking. I felt like I was more so like, okay, this is a crazy commitment. Like, I ain't talking about just, other people and stuff like that. Like, who cares? I ain't care about that.
Okay, because that's what I'm going to ask you. Like, were you, you know what I'm saying? Is that something I need to know in which you felt like you were losing out on something?
No, I just felt like this is a forever thing.
Yes.
And Negro, you better be sure. That's how I felt.
I feel that.
I'm like, yo, this is marriage. There's no such thing as divorce.
There is no such thing as divorce.
So you better be dang on sure. And that's how, I just, I had a good support system too around me, which is good.
I know. I think what I can appreciate about our friend group is that we've all have followed like kind of the same sequence of stuff. And so like, when marriage was coming around, like Tay and TT actually had gotten married.
That's right, yeah.
You know what I mean? They had already gotten married.
I was pissed at him though, because
I'll never forget that.
He did that without calling a town hall meeting.
I don't.
What? I was like, bro.
So you felt like he was putting all the guys on watch because he proposed and we were all dating.
Listen, he put us all on notice at that particular time. And anybody know if you're a guy and you got a group of 5 people, 5 dudes, everybody got a relationship, whatever it is. That one dude that gets married, you just messed it up for everybody. Okay. Especially if everybody, significant other knows their other significant other. You just messed it up for everybody. At this point, your time is ticking.
But that was the thing. What I can say is, although I had said the whole thing about the 5 years, like I was never pressing you about it. I wasn't like, yo,
no, you wasn't.
We coming up on 5 years. We've been together for 5 years. Hey. What you about to do? I was never pressing you for it. I just was making my request known, and if it happened, it happened. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't necessarily in a place where I was like, I'm gonna leave this nigga if he don't. You know what I'm saying? If he doesn't,
should have called your bluff. Did a year 6.
Okay, yeah, you should
see what would have happened.
Anyway, nonetheless, I say that to say, what was great about it was that you did have, because I already had friends that were married. Like I've always hung around people that were older than me. So even back home, like, you know what I mean? I had friends that had been married 5-6 years at this point, because they were older than me anyway. And so I was always around people that were married. But for you, outside of like your parents and like your siblings, they were like the first friends we had that were married.
Yeah.
That we had. So I think that's dope. What's been dope about our tribe is literally is that there's always somebody who takes the step forward. Right. So like Corey and London, they had kids first. Yeah. Tay and TT, they got married first. They became homeowners first.
Yeah.
We got married. We became business owners. Then when we had a kid, then Tay and TT got pregnant at the same time we were pregnant. So it was like we were all kind of moving in the same sequence. Now we got Gigi and Trey, they about to get married too. Shout out to our tribe, man. We love y'all. Yeah, y'all will hear from them and hear a lot about, that's just the vibes. But now Trey and Gigi are getting married, but it's like, you got a whole tribe of people that can kind of just surround you with the love, the information, the knowledge, the questions, the vibes, just as married couples.
Yeah.
And I love that for our group, because the same thing happened, when somebody else starts having kids, when we had kids, we got pregnant. First thing we did was tell Corey and London, because they were who we knew that had a kid.
They had kids,
and they actually had just had another kid the day we told them. They had just came home from the hospital. So I love that. But, getting married, I think it definitely put a big stamp on it, but our life also accelerated at that point, because I feel like, just me personally, and I don't know if this to be true, but I believe that when we made that covenant, because at this point, we had been together for a long time.
Yeah.
We had been living together. And so now you're talking about making the covenant before our family, before our friends, and before God, saying that we're going to be committed to each other under this covenant, under the Lord. And I think when we did that, our life accelerated so quickly with the things that we were doing.
Yeah, because we were in business.
Yeah, we were in business together at this point.
Then, yeah.
And
which was a whole transition in itself.
Oh my gosh, that was that's a whole episode worth of conversation about being married and in business together. Actually, just partners in business together from dating, because we weren't married when we actually started.
Yeah.
But we were married by the time we were successful. So that goes to show a lot of stuff for me to say that, I think that's what was the cherry on top for us to really start to accelerate things and create exceptional success within our lives. And you were able to now leave your job, and we've been able to be full-time entrepreneurs since 2019. But then we got the new one. I mean, business partners was the second one. So we got married. Version 5 was business partner.
Yeah, business partners.
What do you feel like being in business with your partner, your spouse, taught you about yourself? Or what would you say? Do you like it?
Yeah, I like it.
You better answer that right.
Right. No, but I think it taught me, one, how to let the other person operate in what they're good at. Mm. Like, I mean, of course, you learn teamwork and all that stuff my entire life, but to do it with your partner, I had to allow you to, one, I had to understand what your gifts were, mm-hmm. and allow you to flourish in those gifts, mm-hmm. And allow myself the autonomy to flow in what I was good at. Mm-hmm. And I think too many times when people get in business together and they're sleeping together too, they're partners, you blur those lines too much. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it can become a competition. And thank God we've never been like that. Mm-hmm. It's never been a competition, anything like that. We've learned to grow through each other's ups and downs. We've learned how each other operates, and what you don't do well. I pick that up, and when I don't do well, you definitely pick up. So mm-hmm. You just learn the ebbs and flows. Like, okay, we both can't be down in this moment.
Right. And there have been times where we both were. And
yes.
We've had to have those conversations in regards to like, yo, I need to pick me up, or maybe we need to get away. Or I think one of the major things for us when it came to being business partners and being married was that it's easy for, like you said, the lines to be blurred where you can't kind of cut work off.
Yeah.
And you're always, yeah. And this was during COVID, you know what I mean? Because, for most people, this was the first time they're like with their spouse all the time. But we had already been in that place, you know what I mean? And it was kind of being in that place where we were so focused on business and leveling up, and because COVID, provided such great opportunities for entrepreneurs, even through tragedy, because we were already in that place and kind of prepared for moments like this to be able to serve the community of people that needed something different in that moment. But I think it's so easy to lose yourself in the work of doing it, especially when you're married to somebody, because your focus is on how do we really set ourselves up, and coming from where we come from, being and being together since we were kids. You know what I'm
Pretty
saying?
much, yeah.
Being together, at 20 years old, and like you said, the $50 a week, or I was a person that wasn't good with money in college, where I would come to school with all that money, but it would be super blown by Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? And having those conversations. But because of that, now when you're in a place where things are moving and you're entrepreneurs, and this is what we came here to do. This is what we expected. This is how we expected it to be. And now you get to a point where like, yeah, but who are you now?
You remember when I said when can you separate
the husband
from
the business partner?
Mm-hmm. Because what were we even arguing
we were
about?
walking. We were taking a walk when we moved to Buckhead, before 2020, right before 2020. We used to take walks. I think those were probably by far the best walks that we had, because there were times where we would just walk
decompress time
and decompress and have conversations. And I think it was in that moment where you were kind of like, when do you shut it off? And what would happen was we would be arguing about business, but after business had concluded, I couldn't go back to being a wife, or we couldn't have, a good time together after that, because I was still mad about the business.
We would talk.
Argument.
We would argue about money in business.
Oh my gosh!
First of all, a lot about money in business. Like,
always.
Where should this money go? Where should that money go? Where should it be invested? Where it shouldn't be? Stuff like that. We used to getting really, really heated conversations about that. And like you said, we would be done arguing. For me, like I said earlier,
still the same Malk.
Sagittarius. I decompress. Think about it, let it go. She is all right. You banging stuff against the the walls.
You went dinner that night.
She would never cook when she was mad.
Hey, you better figure it out, honey.
And I'm like, yo, like niggas is hungry. Like, when can you shut this up? Like, I understand that you're mad at me as a business partner, but I'm your husband too. Okay, so Your husband didn't do anything. Your business partner might have pissed you off.
My business partner pissed me off. But what do people do when they working and Brenda get on their nerves? They come home and they yell at their husband about how Brenda got on their nerves, and you need to cook for me tonight. How about that?
Yeah, but you know I don't cook.
Well, we need to fix that, y'all. I believe that through this podcast, in the name of Jesus, Malcolm Garrison, my husband, baby,
will not cook.
Baby, it's already some chicken and marinating in the fridge. You just gotta throw that thing in the air fryer.
Air fry. I might, air fry something.
All right. For the record, Malcolm cooks for me for the first time. Our second Valentine's Day. Yeah. Then was the clumpiest mashed potatoes.
The mashed potatoes.
Somebody was like, "Oh, he made you cauliflower."
Bro, what? That's what they said. Cauliflower. Damn.
Cauliflower.
Them joints was not bro. It was not that thick.
They were for sure very thick.
Bro, it was steak.
It was steak.
Asparagus or something like that.
You don't even like asparagus. It's broccoli.
Yeah,
broccoli.
Mashed potatoes, not no damn
mashed cauliflower.
Bro, that's funny.
So sorry about that. But anyway, that was version 5. Version 5 of us is, I think we're still kind of in the flow of that. We're kind of versions 4 through 6, which is being married, business partners, and now our newest venture of parenthood.
Yeah, these last 10 years, man,
we have become so many different versions of ourselves. And I think it's really important to kind of talk about it because, it's really understanding that when you commit to a person or when you commit to yourself, like, it don't even matter. You don't got to be in a relationship for this to be acknowledged. You know what I mean? Because as you transition through life, you become a different version of yourself. When you go from college to the workforce, you become a different version of yourself. When you move out your parents' house, you become another version of yourself. When you now start dating and you get serious and you get married and you become a different version of yourself. When you definitely transition from your 9-to-5 to entrepreneurship, new version. And I think we're only on version 6, but we're not going to stop being new people. Yeah. You know what I mean? I plan to be married for 100 more years. So here we are at version 6, which is parenthood, which is, I would say, I think us 10 years later, we didn't expect this 10 years ago, but I think 19-year-old us, 20-year-old us would be extremely proud of who we've become, how far we've come. And I'm excited for 39-year-old us to get to know
39 or 29?
No. We're 29, so I can't.
10 years from
10
now.
years
Okay.
from now.
Sheesh.
You know, I'm excited about
Dang.
that version of us because I mean, I think we've done a lot in our 20s. We've become, like I said, multiple different versions of ourselves. But I can only imagine with what we've done and just the personal, mental, emotional work that we've also done.
Yeah.
To become better people through these life transitions. I'm excited to see what 39-year-old us thinks about today.
Yeah, I agree. I think these last 10 years have been a roller coaster. Good.
Oh,
a lot of good.
A lot of good.
Some bad. But,
a lot of crazy.
You go through a lot of different. What's crazy is we grew up together. Mm-hmm. Like when you're 19, 20, you're meeting around that time, you're so green.
For sure.
And we had a lot of firsts together.
We had a lot of firsts together.
First
time out the country.
You know, like it's
first
crazy.
time passports.
Everything.
First time living alone.
Yeah, like we've been through a lot. Transitioning through life after college and
for sure.
Even through college when we met, of course, but I'm excited too. I'm excited about this podcast.
I'm excited about the podcast.
We have so much to talk about, y'all.
Man, listen. So let's wrap it up with this. I have a question for you.
Okay.
Knowing what you know now, right? Knowing 29-year-old Malcolm about to be 30, what would you tell yourself 10 years ago?
I would tell my 10-year-old self, say no, not 10-year-old, but 19-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
19-year-old self, find out what you're good at now. Like, what do you like to do outside of playing basketball? Mm-hmm. And I say that because, I mean, you spend so many years doing one particular thing and you love that one particular thing. Mm-hmm. And then in an instant, it's gone. It's like that last game in college, that's it. Mm-hmm. Now, you got to figure this thing out. Like, what do you like to do outside of this?
Yeah.
And if you don't know, you could waste a lot of years, especially in college, mm-hmm. Getting a degree that you might not want to pursue going outside of that. But you'll spend a lot of years in limbo trying to figure out, like, what else am I actually good at? Mm-hmm. And what do I want to offer the world? So I would say take that time seriously and know if you're not going to the NBA, you got to do something. So
mm-hmm. Facts.
Figure out those things then. And you don't have to figure it out, but you need to be working on that. Like, I didn't get any internships because I didn't have time.
Right.
So those are really, really big. That helps you kind of understand, like, mm-hmm. okay, what am I good at outside of this, and what do I like to do, and what kind of skill sets do I have that can offer me an income. Mm-hmm. Because we're in the age, man, that we're gonna be talking about this a lot, but this world is unforgiving.
That's a fact.
It's very unforgiving. This economy is, and you got to find your way. So I would ask you the same thing. What would you tell your?
I think I would tell my 19-year-old self kind of something similar. You know what I mean? Like I studied music because it's what came easy to me. It was what I had already been doing, but it wasn't necessarily something that I wanted to pursue. It was just what I thought I would be good at. Yeah. And so I would tell myself to kind of trust yourself, but expand your horizons. Don't be so afraid of what you don't understand, because it's actually going to prove to be one of your greatest assets in life. Because I believe the older I got, I got more intrigued with the unknown than afraid of the unknown. And I leaned into what I didn't know, which actually turned out to be some of the greatest moments of my life, relocating, starting a business. And these things started to be some of the greatest parts of my life. And so I would tell my 19-year-old self, 100%, don't be afraid to do what you don't know, just because you feel like it'll be easier if you do what you feel like you're comfortable with. Start stepping out of the comfort zone earlier so that you can really maximize what will be happening to you later on in life. And buy Bitcoin. That's what I would
Yo,
definitely
oh man, I didn't think
tell
about that. Yo,
my 19-year-old self.
Oh my
There's
God.
this little thing out there. It's Bitcoin, and at this point in time in life, it's probably like anywhere between $10 to $50. Buy that hoe.
Oh my God.
Buy a whole lot of them hoes.
You know, my dad knew about it in 2012.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And he didn't buy it. Man. Yeah. 19-year-old self, buy Bitcoin. Buy a country's worth. My God.
Man, because the kind of money that I was blowing at that time.
Yo, you was making so much money.
I was.
You could have had so many Bitcoin.
My God, today. Let's not even.
I'd have married you at 20.
He would have.
Man, what? Golly.
You know, but here's the thing. 19-year-old us could not have, well, not even, when Bitcoin, we could handle it now, but then we would have been absolutely stupid. We probably would have sold.
We probably would have.
Really early.
Yeah.
So, but definitely 19-year-old Brittany buy Bitcoin. Yeah. But, y'all, listen, here's to an incredible journey, an incredible conversation, where we're going to continue to open dialogue in regards to, you know, really what happens to us as millennials, as we go through life and have life transitions, and we're going to really unpack some stuff, and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. So you enjoyed this? Like, share, subscribe, join the Patreon.
Yes, join the Patreon, and we're going to have some incredible stuff for you guys. And listen, like you said, like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, because we're going to impact and unpack
a lot of stuff.
So let's talk about it. We love y'all. See you soon.